State Senator Becca Rausch has been on our local cable channel each of the last 3 weeks to discuss ongoing developments in the Senate chamber. The first-term senator joined me for a FaceTime interview on Thursday night. Thank you for joining us again this week, Senator. A lot has happened in just 1 week. A lot has happened in just one day. I was just on the Boston Globe website. 32 additional deaths today, 1,228 more cases. This isn't going to be over soon, is it?
No, I don't think so. The estimates are showing that our peak will not happen at least for another couple of weeks. You probably saw that in the news the same as me. So it's going to continue to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately.
What has been going on, at least in the Senate chamber this week?
Well, we moved the we moved the municipalities bill forward, which was great. Something that I have been, of course, spending a lot of time on as the Senate chair of the municipalities committee. The committee had a public process for that bill, which was great. So we had close to 200 pieces of testimony submitted, and that bill was passed to be engrossed by the Senate, and it's been going sort of back and forth, different iterations between the House and the Senate, so it's not quite over the finish line yet, but that is a really important bill. A number of pieces have been added to it through the process, including the tax extension from April to July, so it's really important that we get that bill over the finish line.
Unemployment, the feds have stepped up, $600, the feds are kicking in. Mm-hmm. Is there still I remember last time I was on unemployment, there was a little gap between when I could start collecting and when I lost my job?
Yes, that is normally true. We waived that waiting period. That was, I think, the first piece of legislation actually that we passed through during the pandemic period. So that 1 week waiver is already, or 1 week waiting period has already been waived. We do have a number of additional provisions in the CARES Act that came down from the federal government. Unfortunately, we are still waiting. Our state administrative folks are telling us that they are still waiting for guidance from the federal administration to be able to implement the components of the CARES Act that, for example, provide unemployment to our gig economy workers and our independent contractors. And so those pieces can't be implemented at the state level until the federal government actually provides what the state folks need in order to get that system up and running. So there is relief coming, and hopefully that advising and guidance from the federal government will come right soon. But for folks who are traditionally, eligible for unemployment, they can go right over to the Division of Unemployment Benefits and register right online and process those claims. I will say we are getting a number of concerning calls and emails from constituents who are experiencing some real difficulty with that process. But my team and I are on it and trying to help however we can.
The numbers, and I saw them this morning, of people nationwide that are applying, and certainly those numbers are reflected here in Massachusetts as well. It's mind-boggling.
Yes, and I expect that number to go up significantly, especially once the CARES Act is actually fully implemented. We, as we started out in this conversation, we're not even at the middle of this yet. We're not even at the height of the bell curve, so to speak. So our unemployment, I fear, is going to continue to go up. I think our folks are going to be in real challenging times for quite a while, which is why my State House team and I have put together a series of pages of resources available on my website, beccarauschma.com/coronavirus. If you are a person who needs something, for example, if you need to apply for unemployment, there's a resource there for you. If you are a small business owner and you need that resource, that information is available on the website for you. If you are a person who is lucky enough to be doing okay and can volunteer or provide resources to others, that is available to you, including a variety of different ways. that people can get involved to support their neighbors and community members at this time. If you can give blood, there's a link to that on the website. Right, we are experiencing a big blood shortage because blood drives, right, donation drives have been canceled all across the Commonwealth and nationally. So there's much to be done, and we are sending out emails Tuesdays and Fridays with updates for folks and resources, and you can always go to the website to find the latest.
I was driving through North Attleboro on my way to work this morning, and I was looking at this small business, that small business, one that had just opened recently, and I thought to myself, boy, I'm hearing June, July, August. The state cannot deficit spend the way the federal government does, but is there anything the state can do for these small business owners?
Well, there have been a number of packages that have come through for small business owners. There is relief, and if anyone is having trouble applying for that relief, please do reach out to my office. My team and I are remote, just like everybody else, but we are totally up and running. We actually had our first virtual office hours session last week, which went really, really well. You can sign up for that at BeccaRauschMA.com also. And interestingly enough, not a single one of those conversations was actually about the coronavirus, about other things, because all of our other issues and all of our other problems, don't go away just because we have this very, pressing pandemic on our shoulders. So we are making that happen. But again, if anyone's having trouble with, securing assistance or benefits, particularly for small businesses and people seeking unemployment, please do reach out, because we are here for you, and we will do everything we can to get that going. We've got many other things that we're also looking at. We've got lots of reports coming in of people who are on the front lines who are seeing desperate shortages of PPE, concerns about people who are quarantined, especially first responders who are in quarantine, and how to make sure they're not in turn infecting their families. It's very complicated. It's very complicated.
With all this going on, and we are now in the month of April, we're in the final quarter of fiscal year 20.
Yep.
How can you wrap your head around preparing a budget for the new fiscal year?
Well, that is a challenge too. And they are actually the chairs of Ways and Means from both chambers of the legislature, House and Senate, and also the revenue folks from the Baker administration are going to be having a revenue summit shortly. I don't know the exact date off the cuff, but that is going to happen. All of the revenue forecasts have to be revised, especially with the delay of the income tax from April to July, because from the federal perspective, that's still all in the same fiscal year. But from a state perspective, our fiscal year ends at the end of June. So when we push our tax deadline back to July, all that revenue is actually moved into fiscal 21, not fiscal 20. So there's some, funds that are going to come in through the CARES Act that will hopefully be enough, and they are going to have to figure it out. First, we got to figure out what the numbers look like in terms of the pot of money that we do have, and then we'll have to figure out how to allocate it.
What else would you like to leave your constituents with this week?
Just please, stay strong. Wash your hands diligently, even if it's in your own home. Make sure that you're washing your produce, any of that open produce, especially. You should wash it with dish soap. Hopefully you're doing that already, but that's all subject to be carrying the virus. You want to make sure that you are keeping yourselves and your families safe and healthy. Try to get outside every day. I find it challenging to stay hydrated, so I've started carrying around, here it is, a little cup of water. Literally everywhere I go in the house, we're in for a long haul here. Do not hesitate to reach out to me and my staff for anything. We also on the website have a page of mental health resources. Isolation is very real, and the consequences of that and the ramifications of that, I think we have not seen yet. And I hope that we don't see it to the extent that I am fearful of. But there is also a lot to be hopeful about. Right, I'm seeing communities come together and people helping each other out in all sorts of really wonderful ways. So I want to just offer thanks to all of the people who are on the front lines working day in, day out, every day, every night, trying to combat this thing. And also thank each and every person out there who is doing something to help a neighbor, help a loved one, bring people together. And it's challenging, but we're in this, and we are giving this literally everything we've got. And I know my colleagues are doing the same.
As you know, I always like to end on a light note. Giraffes, monkeys, elephants. I take it it's not your bedroom.
This room that I am in today was the nursery when our children were babies. So yeah, so the little one, when he was in utero, when I was pregnant with the little one, we called him a mini elephant. So you see some elephants up there on the wall, and the first one we called a monkey because he just kept jumping around in there. And so we've got lots of animals up on the wall, and it's actually a great room to do some work in now. The kids are sleeping in a different room, so I'm not invading their space.
Well, last 2 weeks ago, you were in your Senate office.
In the State House.
Last week, you might have been in the living room. This week, it's that room. We'll see where. It's kind of like, where's Waldo? Where's Senator Rausch?
Where's Becca now? Yeah. Well, I'll see if I can find a different room for you next time, Peter.
All right. Thank you, and have a great week. Be safe.
You too. Take care.